You're listening to the Extraordinary Everyday Podcast with Wendy Johnson, episode number 3.
Welcome to the Extraordinary Everyday Podcast, where women come to be inspired and motivated to become the best version of themselves and elevate the quality of their everyday. Now, here's your host, certified life coach, Wendy Johnson.
Hello, beautiful friends. I'm here to talk to you about creating a vision and focusing on the possibilities. They're all in front of us. It's the beginning of a year, and the one thing that we can use is our imagination, and we can imagine what kind of life would allow us to feel more awake and alive. And what would it look like? We all have that same opportunity to create because we're creative beings. So the question becomes, are you going to create by design, by creating a vision, or by default? And default, I mean repeating the same patterns over and over again, this year after year, and not doing anything new. And design is where you say to this blank slate of a new year, let there be, and then we get to design it any way that we would love. This is an opportunity right now to create that vision for your life that you would love. And I'm sharing some tips that I learned from my coach, Mary Morrissey. I worked with her between 2014 and 2018. And my first certification was in Dream Builder certification. And it was all about creating a vision and calibrating that vision and living into the vision to create big, bold dreams. So I wanted to share with you some of the tips that I learned. My life changed ever since I began doing this vision work. And that's why I want to share this with you. Let's get started. How do you create a vision for a life you would love? The first question we're going to work with to create a vision is, what would I love? What would I love is such a highly calibrated question, and it's so different than the question most of us ask ourselves. We typically ask ourselves, what am I capable of? What do I do with the time I have? Based on my experience and my education, what should I be doing? We often turn to the opinions of others and to get feedback as we're setting our goals. But we always want to go back to this question, what would I really love? And that allows your imagination to run free and give yourself permission to dream as if you did when you were a kid. It used to be so easy when we were kids to dream up of who we wanted to be. And then as the years go by and given up on a lot of those dreams, and we begin to lose that imaginary muscle. And it's a practice. It's a practice of imagining and then writing out that imaginary life. So the question to ask yourself is, if I had a magic wand in my hand and I could create any image of a life I would love living, what would that be? And you can take a piece of paper and you can write without thinking that what you're writing is wrong. And I would say to just go and write like 3 pages without lifting the pen off the paper. And this is all flowing from your heart. It's not coming from your head and what you think you should be doing. Once you've created that vision, the first step is to give yourself permission to put the how on hold. And the important key is to give yourself that permission. And that's very tough to do because oftentimes we look at the vision and we don't create it because we don't know how to create it. But I'm here to tell you that it's essential in creating a vision for a life you would love is to be willing to put the how on hold. So imagine with me, it's December 31st of this year, and you have lived your most extraordinary year. And you've achieved some really big results in your health. You've had some wonderful new relationships, or you've deepened connection and intimacy. You're doing work in the world where you feel purposeful and passionate, and you have this freedom with your time and money. Just imagine what's happening in your life and what are those results. And there's those four key areas that you want to include in your vision. And that's the health, it's the time and money freedom, relationships, and your work. And the second key to creating a vision is to come from the end in mind. And the clearer you are with that picture coming from the end, as if it's already happened, then you know where you're going and you know what you want. And you have that clear picture of the end result. So this is the key. When we know where we're headed, we will have different opportunities, we'll see different resources, and we'll meet people that we would normally miss if we didn't have that destination in mind. But say you don't know what you want to create this year, there's two things that you can look at. And this is key. The first thing you can look at are the areas of your life where you're not happy. Think about the times where you feel dread or a contraction. Maybe it's the times you're driving home to an empty house, or the elevator isn't working and you have to walk up the stairs feeling winded. Maybe you're frustrated that you haven't been able to achieve those health goals. Think about the beginning of the month when you have to pay your bills and you feel this contraction or dread. Think about the areas of your life where you're not happy. This is really important feedback to help you get clear on what you do want if you're having a problem writing your vision. It's so much easier to come from the discontent than it is the longing. And I can't tell you how many prospective clients I've talked with on the phone over the years, and they couldn't come up with a vision, but they could easily come up with what they didn't like and what they wanted to change. So that way we started with what they didn't want, and then it was a lot easier to figure out for them what they would love. So we just flipped the script. Say you're not winded walking up the stairs. Maybe it's that you're easily running up the stairs, that you feel vibrant, alive, and full of energy, that you have great endurance. So whatever area it is, you're flipping the switch and writing the opposite of what you don't want. And that will give you clues to what you do want. And you can see what you don't want gives you really good feedback for clarity on what you do want. And the other place to look at is at those yearnings or longings, the parts of the day that you absolutely love. Or maybe since you were a little kid, you wanted to do this thing, you wanted to go to this place in the world, you wanted to write that book, you wanted to meet that person, you dreamed of speaking on that stage or starting that business. Is there a longing that you've always had that you've never fulfilled? That's another one to look at. The third thing you can look at, let me go back. The first key is to permission to put the how on hold. The second key is to come from the end in mind. And the third key is to stay in present tense. We want to work with the vision in present tense, and we want to use powerful words. I am. Often, many people, when they're setting goals, say things like, one day I will, or I'm going to. And we're leaving it someday in the future. And the key is to get our subconscious mind to know that it's real and this has happened. And the mind doesn't know whether it's real or it's imagined. So you tell the mind that this is what happened. And so the more you work with your vision in the present tense with the powerful words, I am living this life, I am in this experience. When you speak in the present tense, your subconscious mind goes to work on creating that experience now as if it's already happened. So you want to write your vision in the present tense using the words I am. The other piece of creating a vision is to bathe it in gratitude. What I mean by that is gratitude is a high vibrational energy. It's an amazing energy. And you're already happy and grateful now that you have that vision. So you want to say inside your vision, when you write it, you want to say, I'm so happy and grateful now that, and imagine the feeling, how grateful you are going to be when you're in that relationship, when you're doing the work you love, when the book is published, when you're earning the money goal. You want to feel that feeling of how empowered and happy and joyful you are. And the fifth key is to open to life being even better. And this is the last key that's really going to support you in creating a vision you would love, is to add to the bottom, the very bottom of your vision, after all you've done all your writing, you want to say this or something even better still. And I see this a lot with my clients as they say, well, I don't want to limit myself. I don't want to make my vision too small and miss out on an opportunity. And that's why the phrase, this or something better still, allows for the universe to really work its magic. I'll give you an example. The first vision that I wrote out, I imagined a house and I could visualize the house and all the patios and the beautiful yard and all the windows. And I really could see this house. And I did not imagine that this house was in Indian Wells, California. I had another place in mind in Northern California, but it was amazing when I looked at this house. It was the exact house I had in my vision. And I knew I loved the sun. I knew I loved the warmth, but I had no idea that I'd be back living in the desert. I didn't give a specific city. I just gave beauty. I said that I have to see mountains. And sure enough, there are magnificent mountains here in the Palm Springs area. And I allowed for the universe to find that place for me that I imagined up. So when you use the phrase, this or something better still, I imagine in this moment and I'm open to life being even better. And I've had so many clients say to me after they did their first vision work, Wendy, my life is even better than I imagined, meaning they never realized how having clarity and focus on a picture and really getting clear and descriptive on each area of their life. So as you're imagining and designing a life you would love this year, look at those areas of your life where you feel discontent or dread, and then flip the switch and describe what you would really love. You look at those dreams you've always wanted to do, and that will help fuel your vision for the next year. So first, ask the question, what would I love? So I want to summarize the 5 steps to creating a vision. Number 1 is give yourself permission to put the how on hold. You do not have to worry about the how. The how will present itself as you take baby steps. You will receive the intuitive nudges, which is the how. And number 2, come from the end in mind. You're painting a picture in your mind of what the end result would look like. You're writing a prescription to the universe for your dream, and you're being very specific. And number 3, you're living life in the present tense. And number 4, you're bathing your vision in gratitude with, I'm so happy and grateful now that I am living this life. And then you go into the details of the 4 areas of health, relationships, career, and time and money freedom. And number 5, you're open to life being even better. This or something better still. This week, I encourage you to get clarity and just take the time to write out a vision and get very specific and imagine what your life would look like at the end of December. And what have you accomplished? Who are you with? Where are you living? Where are you traveling? How much money are you making? Get very specific, and you have access to all possibilities. And you get to decide if you want to live your life by design or continue doing what you've done in the past, and that's just by living in by default. Allow yourself to focus on the possibilities and imagine. Use that imagination that we have allowed to dry up and live from that vision that would cause you to feel awake and alive and excited. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being here, for taking time out of your day to learn and grow. I appreciate you. And until next week, have a beautiful one, friends. Hey, if you enjoy listening to this podcast, you have to come check out More You, my community of like-minded women. We show up to create the highest version of ourselves and elevate the quality of our everyday along the way. Head over to ontracklifecoaching.com/join. That's ontraclifecoaching.com/join. I'd love to see you in there. And if you haven't grabbed your copy of the Mindset Makeover, head over to ontracklifecoaching.com/makeover and get a copy that teaches and inspires you to show up as your most extraordinary self.